Okay, so before Irene comes and does the full lowdown on the book of Mark, I'm going to start off with two readings that she's chosen. So the first one to get us into the mindset of Mark it's Mark 4, verses 13 to 20. And it says, "He said to them, 'Do you not understand this parable? How then will you understand all the parables? The sower sows the word, and these are the ones along the path where the word is sown. When they hear, Satan immediately comes and takes away the word that is sown in them. And these are the ones sown on rocky ground, the ones who, when they hear the word, immediately receive it with joy. And they have no root in themselves, but endure for a while. That then, when tribulation or persecution arises on account of the word, immediately they fall away. And others are the ones sown among thorns. They are those who hear the word, but the cares of the world and the deceitfulness of riches and the desires for other things enter in and choke the word, and it proves unfruitful. But those that were sown on the good soil are the ones who hear the word and accept it and bear fruit 30-fold and 60-fold and 100-fold. And the second reading from Mark is Mark 14, and it's going to be verses 3 to 11. It says, "While he was at Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, as he was reclining at a table, a woman came with an alabaster flask of ointment of pure nard, very costly. And she broke the flask, and she poured it over his head. There were some who said to themselves indignantly, 'Why was the ointment wasted like that? For this ointment could have been sold for more than 300 denarii and given to the poor.' And they scolded her. But Jesus said, 'Leave her alone. Why do you trouble her? She has done a beautiful thing to me. For you always have the poor with you, and whenever you want, you can do good for them. But you will not always have me. She has done what she could. She has anointed my body beforehand for burial. And truly, I say to you, wherever the gospel is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will be told in memory of her.' Then Judas Iscariot, who was one of the 12, went to the chief priests in order to betray him to them. And when they heard it, they were glad and promised to give him money. And he sought an opportunity to betray him." So I'd like to welcome Irene up, and she's going to tell us all about Mark.
In case you didn't know, I'm Italian. Okay, so my notes are here. They're going to go out on the window in about 3 seconds, but that's okay. As I said, I'm Italian. I chose the book of Mark because it's a road mark to me. Most of you know, I have grown up in a house where most of my family was Baptist from my mom's side. My dad was more like one of the seeds, the one that didn't have strong roots. All his life he's been searching for where he belonged with his faith, and that is why the first reading was that. The second reading was the first reading is the first chapter of the Bible that as a teenager stayed with me. And till today, if you ask me, can you tell me something about the Bible? That is the first thing that comes up, and that is why it's there. As I said, I grew up in a house full of religion. And there is one person that I have always admired, and that is my uncle, which some of you know by name, my uncle Roberto, who you prayed for over a year ago now. He's fine. I call him the walking Bible. I can talk to him, ask him something, and he will just pick up chapter from the Bible and guide me through it. Something that I never could do, still can't do, but maybe one day I can. But yeah, that's my story. And as I said, growing up, Mark it's always been like a story map to the Bible to me. It's short, as Nadia said, the shortest book in the Bible. It's got lots of subtitles, lots of short story, it goes straight to the point, and it's easy to follow, it's easy to understand for me. Just taking my notes. So, my connection, why do I like this book, is because I feel Jesus and disciples, I think that I said that wrong, that's okay, I have it written on my hand. They feel like us. I feel that in the Bible, the first time I thought, can we have the second slide? Sorry, I skipped one. Yes, that one, sorry. It's because there was wonky faith there. You hear, you read about wonky faith. So maybe wonky is not the best way to say, but like faith that is shaken, faith that has doubt, faith that people are not sure about it. Although they witness all these miracles, they witness the healings, it's still people who follow Jesus and know Jesus that are in that position of going, is he for real? And that is why I felt like that connection. Because today, after many, many years of being in church, I'm still that person that at times things will happen and I'll go, why? And that is why I liked it. But it's also the book that makes people feel accepted. It's also the books that will teach us that it's okay to have doubt. It's okay to have that wonky faith. That doesn't matter. Jesus will still love us. Jesus will still guide us. So now I'm going to go a little bit more in details in the reading. And the first reading, Mark 3, why are they so angry? That is one of the things that, I think that's slide 3, I'm not sure. So I practiced this, I didn't practice the slide. It's when Jesus healed someone during the Sabbath. As growing up, I was like, why are they angry? He healed someone. Is it because he did something on a day of rest? Why are those people of the law angry that Jesus did something so good? And then today, I realize that is something that still happens. As a grown-up, you realize that so often we are conformed to the rules, to the law, and forget why we do what we do. We forget that sometimes a connection to someone, or healing, or helping someone, or spending time with someone can be so much more beneficial. They follow that guidance, follow that thing. Maybe I shouldn't say that as a teacher, but that is, and I feel that is still so relevant today. We can challenge the authority. We can, not the authority, don't go out, oh my God, don't go out and do wrong thing. Sorry, I'm breaking this. But I feel like we don't always conform to the thing. We can still do good. It doesn't matter if people look at us thinking, what is she doing? Why is she doing this? I feel that it's connected to that. And it's telling us that we can still do good. No matter if sometimes we don't talk about our faith. Sometimes we don't share with people what we really are and what we really believe. Not for shame, but just because it's something that personal, but also that people don't always share. So it's okay to share it. And still in chapter 3, one thing that is clearer to me now, but as a grown-up, as a child or a teenager has confused me a little bit is when Jesus says, who are my mothers and brothers? When people go into that house and say, your mothers and brothers are here. And he goes, who are they? And I thought, is he reneging his mom? Is he saying that they're not his family? Today, I realize that that is not what he was doing, and that is what we are. Family is not just your mom or your brother or your blood family. Church, our brothers and sisters in faith, that is what our family is too. And we're really lucky, especially in this church, that we are like a family. I know that although I might not always be here, I might not always talk to everyone, if I do need a hand, there is always people at the other side of the phone ready to help us. But as I said, that is what came with maturity. That is the understanding that came with growing up and reading more and trying to understand more behind what is written. Then, can we have the next slide? The next one, sorry. My daughters and my slide are very children-friendly. I said I was going to call her, but what can you do? So chapter 4 is the story of the seed and the faith. And as I said, this is a chapter that means a lot to me with my background, with my family, having a huge family who believed in Christ, and having my father, who on the other hand has been searching his whole life, many branches of religion, many branches, I can't even think like, he was there, he was searching. Maybe that was his journey, his faith journey, searching, keep learning, but that was him. One thing about this is, I was planning, like, something you need to know about me is that I'm very last minute. And I was planning this Wednesday afternoon in the car while Aurora was having a martial art class. And I was like, let me plan it. And as I was reading this story, The Seed of Faith, it started raining. It really, really came down. It was hailing. It was about 4 minutes of rain. And as I was reading, I took that as a sign. Is this God watering my faith? Is this God telling me that I'm growing in faith? It might be a silly thing, but to me that was a very nice moment, hearing that rain on my car while reading this passage. And that made me think, what kind of seed am I? Am I growing properly in my faith? Am I stuck somewhere and wanting to grow? Or is it something pulling me away? I like to think that I am growing in faith. That's why I'm here for the first time talking. And that is a step forward in the right direction. And maybe this was a sign for me to be doing more, to be more involved. Or maybe it was a sign of God saying, you are doing the right thing. Maybe it was not a sign, who knows? Maybe he was just trading. But I like to think things have meanings afterward, they just really appear, you know. Just like the mustard seed in the Bible, a seed that tiny that grows into something so big, something so maybe not strong, but so much bigger than what it appears as a seed. And maybe that means that even my small faith is something that will keep growing, is something that will keep getting strong. Still in chapter 4, and that is something that, I'm focusing this talk on chapter 3, 4, and 14, just because they're the one that stayed with me. And that is when the doubts comes, and that connection that I feel is when the friends of God, friends of Jesus, the disciples, are terrified during. I do things all the time at work to remember names. That's the best notebook. They're terrified during the storm while Jesus is there trying to calm it. And he's trying to get on that boat. And that is when they really feel that doubt, that wonkiness. And like, is he real? Like, is he really going to do that? And Jesus asks them, are you still unsure after all you witnessed, after all the healing that I've done, after all the miracles you saw? You still don't know, you're still unsure of what I'm able to do. And that is something that is, as a Christian, I feel very connected to, and that is one of the things that I feel connected to the book of Mark, because I will always, maybe not always, but I always had those moments, although I know Jesus can heal, I know Jesus will guide me and he will protect us, there will be moments where I will feel unsure, but I also know that there will be moments when Jesus will tell me, it's going to be okay. And that is one of the things that I always know, even in those moments of worrying, Jesus is going to give me a sign. It's going to be okay. And this reminds me that Jesus is still present, even in the middle of the chaos, even in the middle of whatever is going wrong in our life. He is there, even when we don't see him, even when we don't feel his presence, because we're so busy worrying about other things. He is there, and he will show himself to us in one way or another. That's the beauty of it. Sometimes we don't always know, but he is there. And moving on to the last chapter that really is the one that takes me back to my childhood, the one that I read that day, I think it was close to Easter when I read this chapter 14, 3-11. And when the woman is pouring perfume to God, to Jesus, and he says, she's getting me ready for my burial. Like, he knows what's happening. And somehow, she's prepping him without knowing what's happening. And although other people are criticizing her, and they're saying, why is she wasting all this oil? Why is she doing that? We could benefit from this so much more. Jesus said, that's okay. That always makes me think, what am I doing? What am I giving to Jesus? What am I giving to God? Thank you. Am I doing something that really matters? Am I doing something that, am I of service to him? Could I do more? Could I give more? And I believe as a person that I can always do more. Sometimes too much, but that's for my children to then tell me later in life. But yeah, it makes us think what really matters to us and if we're giving enough. And coming back to Nadia's question, one of my moments that I would have liked to live, if I could, spend a day there, would have been the storm, when Jesus is going on that boat during the storm, to witness those doubts, to witness Jesus telling them, it's okay. Because I think that is how I feel lots of times, the need of someone saying, it's okay, it's going to be okay. So, in conclusion, we are already there. I'm sorry, maybe this was too short. The book of Mark has stayed with me because it feels real to me. And although it doesn't show us perfection in faith, it doesn't show us that faith is perfect, it doesn't show us that having faith will make everything okay, it's like it will show us that although we have those doubts, although we will have those moments of darkness, God will be there. And it shows me that it's okay to be scared. It's okay to still be emotional and to still be unsure when following Jesus. He will be there at the end of the darkness with a light, and he will take me by hand. And yeah, that's it. Really, I'm sorry.